Welcome to the Visible Entrepreneur Podcast, Season 5. I'm your host, Michelle Lewis, founder of Visibility Vixen. I've spent years studying color psychology, branding, visibility, and publicity, all geared to help you hit your goals faster than anyone else. I'm a TEDx speaker, Amazon best-selling author, and have helped thousands of entrepreneurs worldwide with their visual presence. I'm going to be going even deeper than I've ever gone before. I'm going to be sharing what's working, what isn't, what I'm struggling with, how I'm growing my business personally, and a lot of things in this industry that I think are simply untrue. My goal is to help you blow up your brand in the best way to attract your ideal audience subconsciously. If you're ready for growth, go to visibilityvixen.com to get started today. In the meantime, let's dive into today's episode. And if you think this is a topic that a biz bestie or a friend of yours or even a relative would love, do me a favor, forward it to them, and let's dive into this episode. Welcome to a new episode of The Visible Entrepreneur. Today, we are talking about what we all want, more sales. How do we create a more automated process so that we can increase our daily sales without necessarily increasing our daily effort? That's something that I love to niche down on because I think it's a really important part of visibility, because the more you keep exerting more effort and energy, you really need to have that match with results. Otherwise, it can feel extremely frustrating. So I'm excited to talk to you about this today. I hope you enjoyed the last episode. And this, I couldn't think of a better topic to talk about today. Before we go any further, if you have not taken the Visibility Tools Masterclass, which really helps with what we're talking about today with automation, I highly recommend doing that. So go to visibilityvixen.com/visibility tools, or you can just find this anywhere on the homepage. So we're going to talk about several effective tools that you can use to achieve more automating sales in your business. A couple of those are going to be sales funnels, email marketing, affiliate marketing, content marketing, SEO, and influencer marketing. There's a lot of options, and you by no means have to do all of these. Just focus on a few that make the most sense for your business. It's as simple as that. But I found that strategically, dedicating time to each of these has really made an impact on my recurring sales and made them more automatic for me. And I hope that for you. You may be familiar with some of these concepts. You may not be. Either way, it's fine. I'm going to give you the overarching thing, and then I'm going to give you the nitty-gritty examples of how I do it in my business. So either way, I think you're going to learn something. So the first thing is sales funnels. All this means is an organized system of getting your person from a just an audience member into a customer. What does that journey look like? It's really important that you understand your buying process of your business and how you're bringing that customer through that funnel, that journey. Because if you don't, then there's a lot of confusion. And I see this a lot with my different clients where they have certain things in place. Maybe they have a newsletter sign up. Maybe they have an opt-in, but it's not all organized, because the goal is we want to bring them from noticing our brand, definitely at the very least joining our email list, but having a journey in place where they can immediately, if they want, become a customer, that anyone going to your homepage immediately knows how to purchase from you. So one of the people that made this just much more commonplace and really feasible was, of course, Russell Brunson. He was the inventor of ClickFunnels. And this is when sales funnels really exploded. They, of course, existed before this, but he really brought them to the forefront. Now, I have used ClickFunnels in the past. I think that it is a great way to set up your pages. I do think that it falls short in design. I do think there's pros and cons. You can attach pretty much however many domains you want. So obviously, if you have 5 products and you don't mind having a differentiated audience base. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have cooking.com, baking.com, and cookware.com. You don't mind having that customer know to go to cookware.com to log into this product, bakeware.com to log into this product, and cookware to log into the third product, then it's great. But in my case, I wanted someone to be able to come to Visibility Vixen, log in and see all of their products right under my brand name. So that's why ClickFunnels didn't work for me. Doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. It's certainly a really nice way to be able to build as many funnels as you want. But in my case, it didn't work quite as well just because of that login issue. So here's an example of how a sales funnel might work for your business. Step one, the potential customer visits your website or your landing page and sees your lead magnet. It's a challenge, it's a webinar, it's an ebook, whatever. And they give you their email in exchange for access. That's the second step. The third step would be they receive a series of emails promoting your product. They click on one of those emails, then last step, they make a purchase. This could also be that they go straight to sale and maybe they're buying something that's $5, like a meditation kit. And then you have an upsell, and then you have another upsell, and then you have a downsell. We've all seen those as well. So it depends on you and how complex you want your sales funnel to be. My main sales funnels are the Visibility Tools Masterclass. This leads to a webinar, essentially, where I break down all the tools I use. Now, this isn't a purchase on my site if they decide to invest in one of these tools. This is purely affiliate income, and we will talk about that a little bit later. I have the Visibility Archetype quiz to figure out your visibility type. And that has a personalized mini workshop class, which then leads to the Visibility Lounge, right? And then I have the Visibility Plan video series, which is a series of 4 videos that they opt in and they get a new one every day. And that also leads into the Visibility Lounge. So I really focus on delivering and especially paying attention to showing off my teaching style, right? People don't buy from me because I have a super magnetic personality or I am really, really broken down of showing a process, even though that's part of my strength. They're not necessarily drawn to me because of my heart. They're drawn to me because of my teaching style. I tend to be a pretty good teacher and able to break these things down into actionable intel and not getting too lost in the weeds, right? So that's what I focus on in all of my free content to then ask someone for the sale. And most of the time they do trust me with that, and it does work for their business. So the main mistake I see with people is not having enough of a focus on their sales funnels. Maybe they have a bad taste in their mouth. Maybe they've gone through really bad experiences, or maybe things are just too crazy in their business and they haven't been able to set aside the time to do so. But it's important. We need to have this journey in place because this is where automation comes in, right? All you have to do is drive traffic to the lead magnet and the rest is taken care of. So even if you're starting from scratch, even if you've been doing this a while, go back, revisit this process or create it, because this is going to be the number one reason for you driving automatic sales. Okay, let's move on to email marketing. I know you probably are very familiar with this, but I want to go through this because sometimes you just get a tiny little nugget where you're like, oh, well, that would make things even better. And email marketing is definitely something that can be a weak spot. We get really busy. We get a little bit tired. We're so busy delivering content that we forget to keep up with our email list. And so much of our business is dependent on our email list, of course. But if you're anything like me, sometimes this can go stagnant pretty easily. So I actually brought someone in to help me with this because this is something that I struggle with as well. We definitely see a lot of marketing emails in our inbox every day. It's time to start paying attention to which ones you actually open and seeing why, right? Because what we really want to figure out is how are you going to be able to inject your unique personality and spin to your email list? And how can we also take the emotional impact out of the equation and just look at things as data? So, of course, a successful entrepreneur who has done this over the years is Amy Porterfield. I believe that her list is over 250,000. Huge. She has done a fantastic job growing her email list. Definitely someone that we can all learn from. And if you are unfamiliar with this, it just means having a list of people that you can email through an email marketing software instead of trying to keep up with them on a social media channel. Email list is something you own, social media followers are not, right? So, in terms of email marketing, I find the easiest thing to start with are the 3 E's, and that's education, entertainment, eliciting action. Having a good mixture of both. And this is when someone gets a freebie. This is when someone buys a product. This is when you're sending out newsletters. It can apply to all of them. These are the 3 topics that I like to focus on the most. Education, proving that you are an expert in your field, how you think, how you approach your zone of genius. That's different than everybody else, right? Entertainment, stories. People love stories. Sharing your stories, sharing stories of your clients and customers. This can be incredibly powerful, and it needs to be in our email marketing. Most of the time, stories are what make people buy. Last but not least, eliciting action. This is more of the hard sell. It can be really hard depending on your personality type, especially if you're a writer, to ask for the sale. And a lot of times you go, okay, well, have you done a really strong pitch? And the answer is like, well, no, but I mentioned it in passing. It's like, you gotta get out there and you gotta share it, right? And be able to highlight, why do people need this? And why are you so passionate about it? So the main goal here, especially with email marketing, yes, you're having to put in some effort, especially if it's like an ongoing newsletter. But if you set this up beforehand with your lead magnet that, let's say, goes to 5 to 8 emails, and in your product, once they get access, where let's say they get however many more emails, you can set all that up once and never have to worry about it again, right? That's the beauty of it. It takes time. Trust me, I've told you, I've gone through all of my funnels, all of my emails. It took hours and hours, but I'm so glad that I did, because I know everything's updated. I feel good about where I pivoted my message. And now I know every person that goes through is going to get that same attention. The only active part here is sending out that newsletter. And hey, you can schedule that in advance too if you want. I like to go at least a couple weeks ahead of time, but this is where the gold really starts to materialize. So be sure to invest time into your email marketing. And here's a little quick tip. If you're because sometimes people stop emailing their list because they don't get the results they want and they get discouraged, especially the amount of unsubscribes, right? 5%, 10%, whatever it is. People get really frustrated and they feel like, okay, well, I'm just not going to say anything, which won't make you any money either. So here's the formula. If you have a really low open rate, that means you need to adjust the text of your subject line. If you have a really low click-through rate in your email, getting someone to actually take action, then potentially you have a really low the body of your text in the email needs to be worked on, right? If it's a ton of unsubscribes, you can see if maybe there's a reason. Maybe you're just emailing them too much, too little, but ultimately it's your business. Run it how you want, right? But those are a couple things that you can pay attention to so that you can start looking at this as data. And that's one of the things that me and my copywriter are working on, right? And like, I'm bringing her in and pretty much saying, hey, we do whatever we want to do. We don't look at industry standard. We don't look at like what other people are doing. We look at what we're doing and what we think is going to be the most powerful. So really, really, really important. So usually a good click-through rate, lowest that's still good, 2 to 3%, right? Some people, like I'm working with a client and she normally gets at least 50% open rates and like 40% click-through rates. Fantastic, right? Nothing about that really needs to be changed. It's working, but you might find some places that need to be cleaned up, and that's okay. Okay, taking a little break. How are you feeling? We talked about sales funnels and email marketing. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, so feel free to write some of this down, to come back to this episode, whatever you need. But remember, we're focusing on how to automate as much of your sales process as possible. So let's move that forward into our third point, which is affiliate marketing. We talked about this a little bit earlier. All it is partnering with another product or person to promote what they have to sell in exchange for a commission rate. I do this with Kajabi. I do this with a ton of different tools. I do it with hardware and software. Like I just started using the Lumina camera. So that's why it looks a little bit different today. And if you like it, that's great. I'm going to start adding this to my tools in case other people want a really good webcam. Then if someone clicked through that on my page, then I would get a commission. Make sense? So the goal of this is to make money based on products that aren't yours. And of course, this is a huge industry. We've seen it, especially with people who sell Amazon products, even though Amazon kind of cut that revenue percentage a lot last year. Taking a sip of tea here. Pat Flynn is someone who does this really, really well. So feel free to follow him and pick up some of his tips and tricks. But here's an example of how this might work for you and how I've utilized it in my business. The first step is going to be setting up an affiliate program. This could be for your products. If you want to have your existing customers promote your products, therefore free marketing that you never have to initiate or follow up with, all you have to do is once a month pay out a commission. For some products, this can be 50%. For some, it can be 10% or even lower. It really depends, but just make sure that people have an incentive in order to do so. Really, really important. The second step with them would be that they are advertising it for you. The third step is that customer would click on their link and come through and purchase the product. And step 4 is that the affiliate commission would be given to the person who went and shared about your product, right? So affiliate marketing can work in 2 ways. I'm going to really hit on encouraging you to create your own affiliate program for your own products, as well as the products and softwares and hardwares that you're passionate about, becoming an affiliate for them so that you can make a commission when you share. Because people love knowing about what you're using, whether it's tools or face care, depending on your industry, or for example, if Gordon Ramsay had a page where he talked about everything that he uses to cook, a lot of people would do that because they trust him as a professional chef, right? So in the same way, especially visibility tools, which is my number 1 opt-in, which we talked about earlier, people are going to go to that because they want to see what I'm using. So having both is a really strong strategy because number 1, you have your own customers promoting your product, which doesn't cost you anything. And number 2, you're having your existing customers looking at what you're using and making an affiliate commission off of those sales as well. So it can be very lucrative, and it's something that all works on autopilot, which is what I love, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're talking about this. So for my company, I usually pay out between 20 to 50%, depending on the product. So something for like the podcast pitch kit, which is $37, I pay out a 50% commission. Whereas for the Visibility Lounge, they make about 20% per month. And I usually pay that out on the first of the month, just because that is super easy. All right. So you can set your own commission structure to reward your people fairly and how you would like to. But I think with affiliate marketing, it makes the most sense of anything we're talking about today because you are constantly gaining new customers without any outreach, resources, or time. So it makes a ton of sense. So definitely something that you can implement in your business. Okay, let's talk about influencer marketing. This is something really powerful because pretty much what you're doing is partnering with social media influencers or bloggers to promote your products or services to their audience. So yes, you're doing some outreach and that part is work, but then they take over from there, which is so great, right? It's really important if you're struggling with, let's say, building your own social media, your own publicity, whatever it may be, your own outreach. If you're able to partner with people, this can make it not only much more lucrative, but grow your social following faster. The way that I did this, especially when I was first starting out, is I did it through virtual summits. I had my visibility summit once a year. So I actually got people to fly to Los Angeles. I think it was 12 people each time. I would tape it. Coming from a Hollywood background, I brought in my husband, I brought in my dad, we recorded it with 4K cameras. I spent countless hours editing it. And for each speaker, not only was I releasing these videos to the public, of course, for the virtual summit, but I was also taking their speech and making it into a speaking reel. So it was very mutually beneficial, because it really, really helped me grow my list quickly. It helped me be seen by over 24 other well-known entrepreneurs, audiences, including Angie Lee, Haley Burkhead, Taylor Lee, There were so many other ones. They're just not coming to my mind right now, but a lot of different people. So I was exposed to their audiences and I was rewarding them by giving them a speaking reel and showing them to my audience. So it can be very, very, very possible for you. So some examples of influencer marketing and how it might work for you, aside from something like a visibility summit, which is kind of your thing, is that you can find a social media manager, influencer, blogger that you really want to work with, that where you have complementary products to their brand, right? Not competitive, but complementary. You can reach out to them and offer to either pay them or have some kind of mutually beneficial exchange for them to advertise your product to their audience. Someone who does this really well is Ellen Yin. So if you want to look into that, she's been on the Visible Entrepreneur before. The influencer promotes those products and they see the promotion and come over to buy your product, right? It makes sense. We see these partnerships all the time. It's like, what's her name? Jennifer Aniston with that brand of, I think it's collagen, right? Or it's like Vital Proteins or something. I'd have to look it up. But Drew Barrymore with the Grove plastic-free products or whatever. It happens all the time. We just sometimes don't realize that we can do it for our own businesses. So if you have more questions on this, someone that I trust that's done a great job breaking it down is Kristen Marquet. She's my friend who lives in New York, and she's a very, very incredible publicist. We wrote a book together called Publicity Jumpstart. You can get it on Amazon, and she really goes into this in like nitty gritty detail. So I think that would be really beneficial for you to give that a read whenever you can. Alrighty, so we have just a couple more to go over. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I know this has been a longer episode. Content marketing obviously makes sense. This is also called a visibility vehicle. This is you having a blog, a live streaming show, a podcast, a video channel, a summit, something where you're providing educational content on a regular basis. This is going to be the most work just because, just like we're doing right now, you're listening to one of these, right? This is content marketing. I'm giving you free value in hopes that you'll come into my world as either a subscriber and or a customer. It's important because you need to stay top of mind. And even if you're still getting a lot of traffic from old blogs, like for example, one of my most popular blogs on Pinterest was written like 4 years ago, you still need to keep producing new content to stay top of mind. Really important to be able to provide value, to get that trust and to get people into your corner for a long period of time. They want to see your face because they'll feel like they know you in order to trust you, in order to purchase from you and continue learning. This absolutely every time will increase sales and revenue. So the good news is you can automate a large part of this. And what I mean by that is if you do the work ahead of time, you can then schedule things to rinse and repeat. When I release an episode, as you can see here, I provide it on video, I provide it written, and I provide it audio. Not every person needs to do this, and you can build this with time, but it means that every episode that's released, I'm releasing it in all those modalities, not only on my website, but on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, which goes to Apple Podcasts and everywhere where there's podcasts, of course. I'm also breaking up this video into social media pieces, and then I am putting those into a cycler. So if I ever need to take a break, they will just replay. So there are ways that you can make this a bit easier on yourself and give it more longevity. But like I said, it is work. So let's move on to the next one. This is SEO, search engine optimization. All this means is pretty much optimizing your website and content to rank higher in search engines, AKA Google, AKA YouTube, even Pinterest has SEO. A lot of people specifically gear their blogs for SEO, but you can also gear your website pages, even your images, and make them SEO rich. So if you're trying to rank for a keyword is just like the topic that you specialize in. So for the sake of this argument, we're going to say a horse trainer, right? That's trying to rank higher in Google and in search engines. That horse trainer would want to focus on the term horse trainer, and that would be a short keyword on all of their pages, blogs, site, everything, right? That essentially is SEO. You do have long tail keywords and short tail keywords. I'm not going to go too crazy into that in this episode just because we don't have time, but it's pretty much whatever you want people to put into a search engine to see your face. So if you put in color psychology and brand visibility into Google, I rank on page 1. That's because we have geared our content to highlight those terms, right? Okay, I'm sure that makes sense. So if you want to start getting involved in this, and this is something that a lot of people put on the back burner, so I encourage you to do it now. I promise Google is going to be very happy about it. As a perfect example, I've been doing this for a couple of years, and Chat GPT can access data through 2021, right? So I was able to say, what do you know about Visibility Vixen? And it was able to pull essentially SEO from all the information it had access to give a great description of exactly what I did and who I helped. So this stuff does matter. So the first thing you can do is you can optimize your website and your content that's hosted on your website for keywords that are relevant to your brands and products. Find a couple of keywords that you want to rank for and focus on them. Don't just do like visibility or content. Be really specific, because that's going to help you in the long run for sure. Otherwise, you're just in a red ocean competing with a lot of other people. Your next step would be really trying to focus on customers who search for those keywords and figuring out, okay, if I was, let's say, a horse trainer, do I specialize in a specific breed of horses? Do I specialize in a specific type of training? That's what I would be figuring out, because horse trainer is kind of a dime a dozen. But if I was a specific horse trainer for Arabians or for equestrian, like endurance racers, that's going to be a lot easier to rank for, right? And people that are going and looking for someone in that vein are going to be putting in something more specific and not just a horse trainer, right? So that's what we want to focus on our SEO. So that would definitely be my suggestion to you, to really sit down and figure out, let's say you're a social media manager. Okay, here we go again, like dime a dozen, niche it down. Okay, well, maybe I'm a social media manager that focuses mainly on reels. Okay, so maybe you want to rank for social media social media reels manager, or you are a social media manager that really emphasizes video content to help people go viral. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, right? That's going to help you really rank with these search engines. I do have a friend, her name is Desiree Grimaldi, and she is an SEO specialist. So you can be sure to check the notes below this episode if you're interested in joining her challenge. I don't get anything for it, but she's just someone in the space I think does a really great job. So today we talked about effective tools to automate your sales processes. We talked about sales funnels, email marketing, affiliate marketing, content marketing, SEO, and influencer marketing. It's a lot of different things, but I thought that at least from this episode, you could get 1 or 2 tips. Maybe you know someone else who's struggling in this area. You can forward this episode to them just to give them some help and support. Figure out one that would make your sales process even better and see if you can move forward with that just for the next couple of weeks. Let's see if it makes a difference, because all these things do take time to implement, but I guarantee your workload in the long run will be less because you've built things correctly and you've built them on bricks and not sand. So it helps you have more longevity. So I hope this episode has helped you. If you're interested in learning more about my process and how I make my visibility successful, feel free to join us in the Visibility Lounge. That is my signature membership where I teach pretty much everything I know. It's pretty affordable at $45 a month, or I do have a lifetime plan. So feel free to hop on over to visibilityvixen.com/visibility lounge and join us. We are having a great time in there. And you can also jump into hot seats with me to get more one-on-one personal advice. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was fun for you. I will see you soon. And if you are watching this on YouTube, you're going to see a really cool intro, outro. So enjoy, and I'll see you in the next episode.